Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission 2010 Freedom of Speech Campaign Finance. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission is a U.S. constitutional law case dealing with the regulation of campaign spending by organizations. The United States Supreme Court held that the First Amendment prohibited the government from restricting independent political expenditures by a non-profit corporation. The principles articulated by the Supreme Court in the case have also been extended to for-profit corporations, labor unions, and other associations. The Supreme Court reversed this decision, striking down those provisions of BCRA that prohibited corporations, including non-profit corporations and unions, from making independent expenditures and electioneering communications. The court, however, upheld requirements for public disclosure by sponsors of advertisements. The case did not involve the federal ban on direct contributions from corporations or unions to candidate campaigns or political parties. Federal law prohibits corporations and unions from using their general treasury funds to make independent expenditures for speech defined as an electioneering communication, or for speech expressly advocating the election or defeat of a candidate. We agree with that continued acceptance of Austin. The government may regulate corporate political speech through disclaimer and disclosure requirements, but it may not suppress that speech altogether. We turn to the case now before us. Citizens United has an annual budget of about $12 million. Most of its funds are from donations by individuals, but in addition, it accepts a small portion of its funds from for-profit corporations. In January 2008, Citizens United released a film entitled Hillary. The movie referred to the film as Hillary. It is a go-minute documentary about then Senator Hillary Clinton, who was a candidate in the Democracy Party's 2008 presidential primary elections. Haley mentions Senator Clinton by name and depicts interviews with political commentators, and other persons, most of them quite critical of Senator Clinton. Hillary was released in theater and on DVD, but Citizens United wanted to increase distribution by making it available through video on demand. The court struck down parts of the Partisan Campaign Reform Act, which put limits on corporate funding for campaigns from corporations and labor unions. The court held that free speech was essential in a free society and that speech was not less protected because the speaker was a corporation, labor union, or other organization. The court upheld disclosure requirements for political advertising sponsors and also kept in place a ban on direct contributions to candidates from corporations and unions. Campaign reform advocates said the provision was necessary to prevent a proliferation of non-candidate advertisements paid for by many wealthy corporations and unions, from crowding out the candidates' own campaign ads. Critics of the regulation said it amounted to unconstitutional censorship. They argue that corporations should enjoy a First Amendment right to spend money and advocate political and policy positions during election season just as individuals can. Where power goes, corruption sometimes tries to follow. Some people suspect all politicians of being corrupt. Even in democratic societies, some candidates find ways to trade favors to get elected. Reformers have attacked what they believe is the root cause: money. They say money can't buy love, but it might buy an election. Even squeaky clean politicians spend a lot of money to get elected. Tour buses, TV commercials, and lawn signs cost a pretty penny. United States presidential candidates spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a campaign, and the numbers rise with each election. How much a candidate has or can get hold of. As a result, many people have become concerned with the power that this system can lend to the wealthy. A candidate may promise political favors to people or corporations that contribute to his campaign. To prevent the rich from gaining a corrupt, aristocratic grip over elections, legislators themselves have stepped up and passed laws limiting how people can make financial contributions and how candidates can raise money. Although the move to restrict campaign spending might seem like a perfect antidote to corruption, some contend that this cure will make the U.S. sicker than the disease itself. Both left and right-leaning organizations find it unconstitutional. Some critics argue that since money is a fundamental avenue to getting the word out, limiting it hampers First Amendment rights. In the spirit of putting our money where our mouth is, let's find out how many can amount to free speech. We have actively participated in every significant policy debate in the long history of campaign finance reform, whether through our lobbying or limitation arms. We also have long advocated for heightened transparency in government. While we opposed important aspects of campaign finance laws over the decades, we also have a long and proud history in support to the transparency in the campaign funding context.